to Hardball. I'm Chris Matthews. The war in Iraq gets stinkier by the minute. The filibuster's about to disappear faster than a box of donuts in Star Jones' dressing room. Meanwhile, the only vaguely political issue Americans seem to care about is which American Idol contestant is boning Paula Abdul. Luckily, there's a whole new controversy brewing. This time the news is the news. Monday, Newsweek magazine was forced to back off a story which asserted that U.S. forces desecrated the Koran. Then just yesterday, this photo is released. No, that's not the Arab Abercrombie and Fitch catalog. It's Saddam Hussein and his tighty-whities. Who's controlling our foreign policy, the Bush administration or the media? Here to talk about the controversy is one of the journalists at the center of all this hullabaloo, Newsweek reporter Michael Isikoff.
Glad to be here, Chris.
You might want to check your sources on that. Also with us, fresh off her trip to Iraq, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice.
Thank you, Chris. As always, the administration welcomes a chance.
And no. Mr. Isikoff, we're going to start with you. You're a veteran reporter. You helped break the Abu Ghraib story, the Lewinsky scandal, Iran-Contra. What happened with the Koran story? Did you get your source out of Dan Rather's Rolodex? Or are you just going to print anything anyone tells you, or what?
Chris, before we go to press, each story is put through a rigorous process of fact-checking to make sure it holds up. First, we ask the source if he or she is lying. If the answer is yes, we will not use that source. If the answer is no, we then ask them, are you sure? If the answer to that question is yes, we follow up with a very stern promise. Then you swear you're not lying. It's a pretty airtight process, Chris.
Why do I get the feeling it's incredibly easy to prank call Newsweek magazine? Madam Secretary, the administration has chastised Newsweek for printing a story which relied on faulty information. Now you claim you're investigating the Saddam Hussein cheesecake photos. I ask you, is the administration losing control faster than Billy Joel behind the wheel after a 10-martini lunch?
Chris, I think everyone would agree that up until the media got involved, things were going pretty great in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Madam Secretary, it's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But I want to see where this is going.
The media needs to be held responsible for the stories it reports. If not, this administration is prepared to take action.
Okay, like what?
Well, there are a lot of options on the table. For instance, our government might invade Newsweek magazine. Or we might start our own newspaper and have pictures of journalists, such as yourself, Chris Matthews, in your underwear. It might look like this. Hardball!
Good Lord. Joining us now to shout about God knows what to everyone's favorite Looney Tune, former Georgia Senator and current Fox News contributor, Zell Miller. Zell, what do you got for us?
I'm sick of hearing about Newsweek magazine. Let me tell you what we used to do when some yellow-bellied desk jockey wrote something we didn't like. We rounded up our boys, got ourselves some crowbars and shotguns, and we'd head on down to the local printing press to have ourselves a talk. And after we were done talking, we'd throw a couple kerosene lamps through the window and the problem solved.
This is why I come into work every day, folks. Final thoughts, Michael Isikoff.
I'm afraid I don't have the time, Chris. We've just received an important lead. Apparently, Prince Albert is trapped in a can and must be let out. May God be with him.
You don't say. Condoleezza Rice.
Chris, the freedom of the press is something the Bush administration loves about this country. Don't make us take it away.
Zell Miller, go.
Let me tell you, Matthews, this country's got a real problem with the media, and you're one of them. If you can't control that dirty liberal thing you call a mouth, then maybe I'll have to jump on my horse and come up north myself and stuff a sock in it. Do you hear me, Chris Matthews? Do you hear me?
When we return, Saddam and Espeedo Conde takes over Newsweek. Zell Miller explodes, but until then, live from New York, it's Saturday night.